Ladies and gentlemen, he comes to us from Austin, Texas to talk baseball with us. He works at Fangraphs. He's the host of the Sleeper and the Bust podcast. And beyond that, he's the content designer for Out of the Park Baseball, which is really his day job. It's Paul Sporer. You can follow him on Twitter at Sporer, S-P-O-R-E-R, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Paulie, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, y'all.
And Matt, you want to say something about the hat first, real quick?
Yes. Everybody that is watching on YouTube TV or the VSiN Watch app, I will let you know that is a custom-made hat. Paul got himself put on the hat right there. And look at that. Right. Just an exact clone of him right there on his hat.
What team is that really, Paul?
Actually, the Kannapolis Cannonballers. I took in a minor league game last summer when I went out to Charlotte to meet up with some friends to see the Savannah Bananas. So we were catching lots of fun baseball.
All right.
And yeah, I saw this and the guy with the mustache, I'm like, I'm instantly getting
Gots to. It's a gots to purchase situation.
100%.
And real quick, I don't want to leave it hanging. We talked a little bit about this off air. You are pro Savannah Bananas, right?
Very much so. Absolutely. Yes, just very much so. And I truly don't see a side against it. Like, I try to be open-minded and see pro con on everything, even stuff that I don't like. You don't have to like it, but I don't really see hating it and you can just ignore it. This is one of those where it's like, if it's not for you, that's totally fine, but it's clearly resonating big time. So to piss on it is kind of lame and speaks a lot about the people doing it. Like if you're vehemently against it, maybe look in the mirror and figure out
against it.
What's wrong with you, dude?
Get off my lawn, turn down your music, and I hate the Savannah Bananas.
I can't believe that guy did a flip when he caught the ball. It was ridiculous.
Right, it's like you don't have to like it. It doesn't have to be for you. But let's be intellectually honest here and understand that it's clearly resonating very nicely and brings people into baseball, whether that's translated into MLB or not. Who cares, really? Baseball in general, showing that baseball is and can be very cool.
Now, you are wearing a Detroit Lions sweatshirt. That was not lost on me. And so is this your symbol? Is that a Lions sweatshirt? Yeah, I thought it was.
Yes, it is. And you read me like a book. I know what you're going to say right now.
Is this the symbolic? Is this the symbolic transition from baseball season to football season? Because after getting swept by the White Sox, you're waving the white flag on the Tigers. Is that what happened?
I knew you were. In fact, when I put this on, I was like, he's going to notice. Yeah. He's going to say something. I'd be really surprised if you didn't. And of course you did. So sort of, listen, I never thought that this team could, even right when they got out of the gate after the trade deadline looking good, the bullpen.
Yeah.
And look, Foolish Baseball on YouTube just did an excellent video talking about the dreadful May and Hinch. And he puts a lot of it at the feet of Hinch. And I got some disagreements maybe on that. This bullpen has never been improved. Like, they have a surface level ERA that's pretty good, horrendous skills. And this goes back to 24 with the Tigers bullpen. And so that was Hinch pressing the right buttons. And he pressed maybe some bad buttons in May. And I think the crux of that video was that he pushed guys too far. And to me, it's because he doesn't have better options. And Scott Harris has never tried to improve this bullpen meaningfully. And I don't mean signing big free agents. I'm fully against like the Edwin Diaz type contracts. I'm talking small trades and turning over waiver rocks and just repeatedly trying to find better guys. They're not doing that. And that's why even still, I know the Tigers are not dead. They could win 3 this weekend and all of a sudden they're right back in it, right? This is, even the White Sox series does not put them out of it, but they're paper Tigers. I know that's a little on the nose, but like, it's the perfect time to use that phrase because I love their run differential. The lineup is nice. The starting pitching, even without the 2 guys, has some real pieces. Without a bullpen, what can they realistically do both down the stretch in September, but even if they were to get in? What's it really going to do? There's no confidence in anybody, but maybe Ty Madden, hook 'em horns.
The Detroit Paper Tigers. Well said.
I like it.
Yeah.
So right. Paul, is today the day we find out if Paul Skeens is actually hurt or not? They push the start back 3. They push the start back 3 days. I mean, rookie season comes up, throwing 100, 101, 99. Basically, the floor was 98. Then last year, kind of like working at 98, 99. He said that was a conscious decision to come back down to that and, wear and tear on the arm. And then now this last start, about 95 miles an hour, which like, that's not a conscious decision, 3 miles off of where you were and all of that. Like this is kind of whether we find out if he's actually hurt or not, right?
It really, really seems like it. And it's about the only thing that makes sense, right, in terms of his struggles, because there are still so many things. It's amazing how good, quote unquote, his struggles are, because you really look at the core skills and they're still there. But I understand he's set a level so high that, yes, it needed to be examined. We need to understand like what's going on with Paul Skeens. And then, like you said, the recent velo dip is going to be a marker. There's a group of sickos that call themselves the Meatball Gang in the fantasy baseball world, and they started a 2027 draft last night. So they do the first 15 rounds now, and they do the rest of it, I think, in November after the season ends. And it's really interesting to kind of get a litmus test of where guys are right now. For those that don't follow fantasy, Skeens was a automatic first rounder last year. Somewhere in the first round he was going. He went in the 5th round of this, and this is a lot of super sharp fantasy players. The 17th starter off the board, and that owes to the scared factor right now that everyone has with him, Matt, going into this start. Because if it pops and he goes for surgery, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised. Because what else explains why he's fallen off like this? His stuff isn't even that far off. But when you're working at a level that he is, small margins, small differences can make you look mortal, which he has when we thought he was kind of immortal. So yeah, Skeens right now, it is scary. And it's kind of the reality that we always have to face with these pitchers, right? They break. When you throw 100 consistently in upper 90s, they break. And it's going to probably come with Mizrachi. I'm not even trying to be a wet blanket or negative, and it's not jinxing it. That's not how things work. These guys break when they throw that hard. It could just be Skeens' turn. And like you said, we'll find out a lot today, this afternoon, and we'll see where he's at against the Tigers.
I am no physician, but I'm going to say that I don't believe human beings were meant to throw the ball 100 miles per hour and also with torque on their arm for other pitches.
And certainly not, for 200 plus innings. That's why we've seen the innings come down. We've traded that for this sort of max out excellence. And with that comes injuries. And that's why I'm usually pretty vehemently against all the stupid attempts to try to keep guys healthy, because it doesn't work. None of them are tangibly working. So use the bullets when you've got them, right? And push in your chips when you have 2 young pitchers really pushing forward and things like that.
The vehemently count it too, right there. Too.
And then there's a guy like Nolan Ryan who nothing happens to his arm until he's 44 years old.
Right.
He's a unicorn.
He's a unicorn.
And that's the thing. Right. Like sometimes there are unicorns, and that's why he is so amazing, truly.
Pirates are -153 favorites. That game starts at 12:35 p.m. So this will start while we're still on air at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Last question here, Paul, and this is coming from a guy who just literally 10 minutes ago, just said, when all said and done, I think it's the Yankees, right, who are the best team in the AL, head and shoulders above. I've said this multiple times this week and earlier. It's a pretty common opinion, I think. That said, from a betting standpoint, we get to bet things like World Series exactas and World Series matchups. And because of the flat earth AL, and because none of us has a crystal ball, I don't know that the Yankees are going to ultimately end up as the team. Shouldn't we all be betting, forget the exactas, but like matchups of like White Sox Phillies and White Sox Dodgers, or what would be the team in the AL that you would actually gravitate towards for a bang for your buck situation in those bets?
Man, yes, I agree with this notion of not just getting on the Yankees, because yes, it is still pending the health. The offense still has to come back. And they did just trade Rodon for free. So as great as the pitching is, and they can afford to kind of do that 1-for-1, that's not whole now either. So I understand why they're the favorites, but I think that there are other teams to consider. I'm still on these Red Sox, and I know that they've come back after their big run. But I think that's the natural thing after a 15-game win streak, is to maybe hit a lull. And let's see if they even out here as a plus team. I think that they still will. I still think that they have enough talent. Can Roman Anthony come back and do something? Been a lot of chatter about him, not a lot of performance. I can't get off this Red Sox team. Can the Rays make it work in the playoffs with what they do? I want to believe so. I think they have an ace in Rasmussen. I think they have a good bullpen. Baker's been excellent. So I wouldn't be off the Rays and the horror movie villain, the Astros. They're going to get in. And they still have Alvarez, man. And they've got some compelling pitchers here and there. Obviously, they're very much an underdog. But I still think that the Astros, when it comes to the playoffs, would be a team to look at. It's a wide open AL, like you said, because I didn't even mention a team like the Twins and Jays who are lurking. And if they make it, they could make some noise.
I'm with you on the Red Sox. That Whitlock Chapman 8-9 is all I can think about. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro. Nick Whalen joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. He is the co-host of Prop Points, which follows us each and every morning here on A Numbers Game. He does it with Jeff Erickson, and the two of them together, Wonder Twin Powers activate. It's amazing. Nick joins us now. His Twitter, by the way, Whalen, you substitute the letter L with the number 1. How you doing, Nick?
Doing well, guys. Doing well. Working our way through the end of summer here in Wisconsin, still trying to get as much golf in as possible. Very nice to, be able to talk unlimited football on our show. We'll be having Theo Greminger from RotoWire joining us to talk some fantasy a little bit later on Prop Points, and looking forward to hopefully seeing you guys next week for contest weekend out at Circa.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so we were wondering
why you weren't here this week.
We were wondering if you were coming this week for the fantasy thing, or if it's
I didn't make the cut for this big draft weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. It's just I got lost in the email. That's what we say.
Yeah, it must have been.
It gets lost in the email.
Had to be something like that.
Nick, by the way, when you were here last year, and this is just you and me talking, Matt's here and nobody else is listening. When you were here last year, apparently Kelly said, "What up to you?" And you kind of like blew him off, and he was deeply offended by this. So if you see Kelly next week.
Is that right?
No. Yes. If you see Kelly, I want you to actually give him a big old hug.
Yeah, just bear hug. Yeah.
Of course.
And hold him for an uncomfortably long amount of time.
It was unintentional, I could assure you.
hold him for an awkward, for a pregnant pause while you're hugging.
Definitely do it.
All right. Nick is dumbfounded, by the way. He can't believe this. All right, let me ask you. I have not played fantasy for many years. Matt, you still play fantasy. You play more DFS than season long. I know you are involved in more than one league, Nick. I was kicked out of my last fantasy league. SVP was in the league, but the commissioner, Johnny Detroit, summarily kicked me out of it. He was offended by something. I have no idea what, but he was offended. He kicked me out. So here's the deal. I have a question because I'm always curious about keeping up with the fantasy goings on. And Jeff Erickson, your buddy, was on, and your co-host was on the other day. And I said, okay, if it's Jahmyr Gibbs at the top of the draft, and who's the other back, of course, who's with Jahmyr Gibbs at the top of the draft? I'm forgetting now all of a sudden. Jahmyr Gibbs and
Bijan Robinson.
Thank you so much. And then maybe after that, the number 1 pick, starting with a third pick, would be Jamar Chase, and then pick everybody else. I guess the way I would ask this is, what do you see as the biggest mistake somebody could make based on your talent/fantasy evaluation at 4?
I would say maybe not taking one of those 3 players, Jamar Chase being the third with the top 3 pick. I was in a draft the other night where someone took Ashton Jeanty at number 2. The draft board was tweeted out, and it's been like 48 hours, and I'm still being tagged in replies of everybody just questioning, why would you take Jeanty second overall? Which, look, part of me respects it. Like, if he's your guy, go get your guy. But I just think we have 3 unassailable options at the top of the board. And look, in a full PPR league, maybe there is a justification to take someone like Jamar Chase ahead of those 2 running backs. But of course, what makes Gibbs and Bijan basically the unanimous 1-2 in some order is they also catch passes, right? They'll be high volume receiving backs in addition to being super explosive on the ground. And I will say it's worth noting, for most of the offseason, people like us and over in the RotoWire community, we start doing drafts like literally the day after the Super Bowl. And it was Bijan Robinson 1-1 for months. And then I think it was around mid-June, we did start to see a bit of a sea change. You'll still see Bijan go 1-1 every now and then, but Jahmyr Gibbs has overtaken him as the most common number 1 overall pick.
Just one follow-up to that. When he makes that pick, is it vocal in the draft room or by Zoom, or however you guys are doing this? Do people just lambaste him immediately for this?
So to pull back the curtain a little bit, this was a SiriusXM host league. So, part of the goal here is, yes, we're playing out this league. Yes, there's a little money involved, but it's more so to generate content for shows. So I think there may have been some motivation there to, make a splashy pick, give you something that you could talk about on the radio.
Inauthentic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But hey, whatever. Yeah. Respected.
Respected.
So if we are looking here, I mean, we talk about those top 2 guys, but we start getting in a little bit of question marks, at least in my opinion. the whole father time thing with Derrick Henry is crazy to me. Obviously, the same deal with Christian McCaffrey. These are going to be popular players. These are players that, for whatever, you get a full season out of McCaffrey last year, so people love that. You get Derrick Henry still doing these things at his advanced age. Are you still sold on some of these guys with the question marks, or do you tend to just shy away from them and go a little bit more safer route?
In general, I tend to be a safer drafter. Now, McCaffrey is pretty much at the top of my do not draft list this year. And if I get burned on Christian McCaffrey at this point in his career, playing 17 games for the second straight season, coming off of a 400 plus touch season, I'll live with that. It's just a really, really bad health bet to me. I think we're kind of in a similar situation with like Kawhi Leonard. Everything kind of went right for him last year. And it's like, all right, are you really going to now invest a second round pick if you're playing fantasy basketball on Kawhi? So I'm fading Christian McCaffrey. Henry's a little bit of a different equation just because he's going later in drafts. I mean, you're seeing Derrick Henry, even in these high stakes leagues, going at the end of the second round. Sometimes will even slip into the beginning of the third. Whereas with McCaffrey, you got to burn maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th overall pick on him. And, Henry almost has like a little bit of LeBron to how his career is going, right? He's not going to still be doing this at age 41, but there just doesn't seem to be any physical decline whatsoever. We know he spends $1 million a year on his body or whatever it is. He's had some fumble issues, even in a year last year where it felt like he had a terrible start to the season. He had a month-long stretch where he was averaging like under 40 yards per game. And by the end of the season, he was within like 40 yards of winning the rushing title. So even in a down year, Derrick Henry always finds a way to pay off that value. And I will say, guys, if you're looking at the running back landscape in fantasy, I think it could be easy to say, well, I'm skeptical of this guy. I don't know about Achane in Miami. Do I fade Saquon? There are only so many backs before it starts to get really scary. And you don't want to be, feeling like you got to grab a starting running back when you get to pick 40, pick 50.
Deshaun Stribling. So Ricky Pearsall, the Niners finally are like, we got to deal with his knee. Pearsall done for the year. Deshaun Stribling theoretically is the beneficiary of that. People betting him for Offensive Rookie of the Year in the betting markets. Obviously, there's fantasy implications as well. Give me another name or names that are not the obvious guys at the top of the draft, like a Stribling, that people ought to be focused in on around the league.
Yeah, well, first of all, on Stribling, I will say he has gone as high as pick 68 in the last couple of weeks in high stakes leagues, which is wild. I mean, that's a guy who was well after pick 150 for most of the summer. Jacoby Lane is another big buzzy name right now with the Baltimore Ravens, a team that always seems to be seeking that secondary wide receiver. We'll see how much the preseason and the training camp hype actually pays off. And then I will say a lot of people are still trying to figure out what to do with the Miami Dolphins. I don't think anybody's overly optimistic on this offense, but there's still going to be a number one receiver. There's still going to be maybe a borderline productive, borderline usable tight end in Greg Dulcich. So I think a lot of people, myself included, will be watching the Miami Dolphins very closely over these next couple of weeks and just trying to identify, okay, which of these receivers can I get for free at the end of a draft who could end up being fairly valuable in fantasy by Miami Dolphins standards, whatever you think that offense is going to look like.
Nick Whalen going to join us for another segment. A little more fantasy, also some real football as well. National Football League, that is. It's a numbers game right here at VSiN. Coming back. Nick Whalen, kind enough to join us for a second segment. He is the co-host of Prop Points, which he does with Jeff Erickson, ably and adeptly, I might add. It is at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, right here on the network. He comes to us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Again, Whalen, W-H-A-1-E-N. Oh, now that you're here, I forgot that you took Nick to task on this Twitter handle. You guys had a whole rumble about this, whole Donnybrook about it.
I think because we had found out that Whalen, just regular Whalen, was available.
Oh, why didn't you just take Whalen?
Is what it was. Isn't that what it was?
I don't think so. I don't think it is, guys. I've looked into it. Maybe it was at the time, but no. After our little dust up, our Donnybrook, like you said, I actually did go and all right, I don't know if I'm actually going to change it, but let's just see what's out there. And pretty much every variant of Whalen, Nick Whalen, Whalen Nick, these were all taken. I would have had to add in numbers and underscores and things of that nature. Yeah. So Gotcha. I will once again apologize, guys, but it looks like we're going to be stuck with this handle for a while. As
Elon tries to extort more money out of all of us, because now I have to pay $40 a month now for TweetDeck. Like I can get rid of it in the summer. I can get away with it, but like during football season, I have to have TweetDeck. So like,
you have especially curated.
Yeah, so he's extorting money. He also, if you are part of the, you can file now, but you have to be a elevated Twitter whatever. But you can file if someone's got it like squatting on a name. you can file a dormant handle thing.
Oh,
and then whatever.
Okay.
But again, you got to give them $40 a month to be able to do it though.
Twitter,
Well, something to consider.
inside Twitter. That's
Yeah.
right. Nick, a couple more fantasy questions here for you. One, I asked this of your co-host Jeff Erickson a couple weeks back, but I used to ask this of Todd Wright when he used to come on the show talking fantasy, which is when an offensive trade is offered in fantasy by one of your season-long opponents, an offensive trade, like a ridiculous trade that is just you just look at it, you're like, are you for real? Do you respond with an equally offensive trade, B, ignore entirely, or C, shame him and tell everybody throughout the league what a horrible human being he is? Which approach do you most often take?
I would typically just very quietly decline the trade. I'm not going to send a counter offer. I'm not going to send a little message that says, fair deal, but I'm not looking to part ways with that guy right now. It's just going to be a very quick decline. Maybe it's going to be a text on the side to just let him know, like, hey, just, I saw this. I'm not going to embarrass you in front of the whole league, but you know what you've done, and there's no way I'm accepting this trade.
What is the optimal draft? If you could choose where you draft, in other words, do I want Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan at 1? Maybe I want the first pick. Do you want the snake at the end, or is there a sweet spot somewhere in the middle, like you like 3 or 4 or something like that? What for you is the ideal spot this year?
I will say I don't necessarily love drafting in the very middle this year. That 6, 7, 8 range, I think can create interesting and difficult decisions in round 1, and then kind of force you into even more difficult decisions in round 2. I don't know if this is controversial, but I typically like picking on the wheel, whether that means at the start of the first round or at the end. I think you just have kind of a better gauge for who's going to be available, getting to double tap 2 picks instead of, if you're picking 7th, all right, you start forecasting out and saying, all right, 5 more people are picking before me. I only have 3 guys that I like. And if all 3 go, then you find yourself scrambling. So I kind of like picking on the end. And this year specifically, I mean, that can lead you in a number of directions. Sometimes you'll see someone like Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Ashton Jeanty, if you're in on him, available at the end of the first round. If you want to go receiver in a full PPR league, that's where you could find CeeDee Lamb. That's where you could find Justin Jefferson. You guys know I'm high on this Vikings offense. Or you can even dip into someone like Chase Brown, who I don't mind sneaking into the end of the first round. I think if that Bengals offense stays healthy, and look, even in a year when it didn't last season, Chase Brown was excellent. He was a top 5 running back in fantasy over the final 12 weeks of the season. So I think end of the first round, I don't mind certainly having a top 3 pick, getting one of the truly elite players, but that middle of the first round is where I don't want to be.
So, Nick, shifting over here to real football, we talked about the AFC North here on the show already. Where do you fall on the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers coming back and the new coach situation and him calling plays and all of that? I mean, is it like clear number 3 in the division, or do you think they could actually push maybe a Cincinnati or Cleveland? I mean, I'm sorry.
I think on paper they're a clear number 3, but I think there are a lot of years in the last decade or so where we would say that. And then whether it's the teams ahead of them imploding injury wise or the Steelers just overachieving, which they seem to do every single year compared to the talent on their roster. I mean, this is the team that won the division last year with that crazy win over Baltimore at the end of the season. So I mean, as usual, I would just put the Steelers as an 8 or 9 win team. History suggests they'll find a way to get to 9, but the guy who had gotten them there over the last 20 years is no longer your head coach. So we do have a significant change, even though you're bringing in an experienced coach in Mike McCarthy, somebody who knows Aaron Rodgers as well as anybody. I think that's still a pretty significant variable to have to worry about. I think that the way they conducted that offense last season, they made it work, but it was a very unique offense, right? It's like we can't get anything downfield. We tried the 2 or 3 deep shots to Metcalf. Those don't really work. And then we just nickel and dime our way down the field by throwing it to our running backs over and over. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be. They had all these tight ends involved last year. And yeah, you went out and got Michael Pittman. I'm not the biggest fan of him. He's an upgrade over what they had last year, but I still think this season probably looks a lot like last year for Pittsburgh, where they're winning games. You're wondering, how are they doing this? They're having trouble generating chunk plays. I don't think we get a significantly better season out of Aaron Rodgers than we got last year.
This is, it's funny. You just alluded to how that season ended last year. It's funny. We're so immersed in football. We're such hamsters on a wheel during the football season. my recall on what happened in 1983 is often sharper than what happened at the end of last year. But just to refresh, because I had to do this for myself because Nick just brought up the game. The final, remember, going into the Sunday night game at the end of the regular season, the winner of the Ravens-Steelers game was going to win the AFC North. The loser would be completely eliminated. Baltimore was in control of the first half. Steelers got right back in the game in the second half. With 1 minute to go in the game, Chidobe Awuzie lost his footing, slipped on 3rd and 10, allowing Aaron Rodgers to connect with a wide-open Calvin Austin for the go-ahead touchdown. A missed extra point then, at that point, left Baltimore with a 2-point deficit, 55 seconds left to play. Tyler Loop had missed an extra point earlier. A long kickoff return, some last-second theatrics by Lamar, left Baltimore with a 44-yard field goal to seal it. The game and the season on the shoulders of rookie Tyler Loop, who at that point was 28 for 28 on the season from inside 50 yards. No good. I completely forgot about all that. Ravens at the end went on to finish 2-7 straight up against the 9 playoff teams they faced last year, only beating Chicago and Green Bay. Nick, last thing. What is the most outlying Nick Whalen prediction of the year where you don't hear many other people buying into what you're selling?
Man, that's a really good question. I do find myself to be considerably higher on the Vikings than market, but I don't think that's all that crazy. I am having a tough time buying in on Kansas City, and I don't know if that's even a hot take at this point. I know they're favored to win the AFC West, but I think we are just back to Patrick Mahomes absolutely has to play hero ball every single week for this team to win games. And I know there was a good 3 or 4 year stretch where that worked out for Kansas City, but Mahomes coming off of that injury, they didn't really retool this offense in any meaningful way. Travis Kelce, you're relying way too much on him. I think at this age, Xavier Worthy's already banged up again in camp. We'll see if you can get a full season out of Rashee Rice. I know they've swapped out some pieces on defense, but I am not fully sold on Kansas City. I don't necessarily think they should be favored right now to win the AFC West.
Okay. Nick, appreciate it very much. We'll all look forward to you and Jeff on Prop Points, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Nick Whalen, everybody, right here on the show. Todd Wishnev joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. He is the star of Wishnev Wednesdays. He comes to us from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What's happening, Toddy? Who'd you beat in tennis this morning?
Oh, I crushed this guy who's a tennis pro down at the Oxford Club in the North Hills. I mean, he's not that good, but, still, I'm just too talented. What can I tell you? 6062.
I'm just too talented.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Todd, you're coming out to sign up for the contest. We're going to play tennis out here, yes?
Yes, I believe the line has been installed as Gilly over-under per set at 0.5 games. 0.5 games. So if he goes 6-0, you lose if you take Gilly.
Wait, what's the line? Plus what? How many games am I?
It's over under 0.5 games per set.
Oh,
and you have to lay minus 140.
0.5
games per set, but you have to lay minus 140.
That's insulting.
Because it's a little bit of a favorite that you get to 6-1, which you don't get to very often.
Please. Very insulting.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll say anything.
With the slander.
There's a statue of me built down towards the South Point where I beat him on the tennis court down there. It's amazing.
Yes, there's a statue of you for your eating prowess at the MGM or one of those hotels. It shows you eating a ball of cheese and saying, I don't know why I can't lose weight.
Anything else you want to cover before you get into some
shots fired?
Jesus.
You want to throw some strays at me while we're at it?
Also the star of the Megapod, Todd Wishnev, should be pointed out. Megapod getting going here in just a few weeks. Can't wait. All right, Todd, let's ask.
I have nothing against Mr. Brown.
Nothing. You've not aggrieved him in any way.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's do a couple sports. Let's do a few sports here. One, you were perusing, you were scouring bets yesterday among sports books. You went to Caesars and you found this interesting baseball bet in the AL West. What is that?
I made this bet. I was looking at the season win totals because one Stevie Fezzik constantly is on there saying I've got the greatest one. It's impossible. You can't lose. It's impossible to lose. You know how he does that whole shtick,
I
right?
I do. Yeah.
So I was looking at him, and they have one for the AL West winner will over under wins is 83.5. Currently, you have the Astros
63 and 63.
63 and 63. So if the Astros were going to do it, they have to go 84 wins. So 21 wins and 15 losses. Am I doing that right?
They would have to go. Well, they have to be. Yes, exactly right. Well, yes, 21 wins and
20.
Yeah,
21 and 15. I looked at their schedule. It's not that hard, but it's also not that easy. I'm going to read you their starters. Javier, crap. Brown, not as good as he used to be. Wisniewski, crap. Lambert, sort of crap. Blanco,
sort of
crap. There's a lot of crap, okay?
Uh-huh.
To win 21, to go 21 and 15. So I don't know if the Astros can make it. Now, the only other team that could theoretically make it is the Texas Rangers, who happen to be 61 or 62 and 64. They have to go 22 and 14, if I did my math correctly. And they have a little bit easier schedule. I'll give them that. But look at who they're sending out there. Quantrill, absolute garbage. Bradford, seriously? Madison Gore, up and down, sometimes talented. Rocker, just average. And DeGrom, who's not DeGrom anymore. So I don't see how this team's going to go 22 and 14 either. So to me, the winner of this division goes 83 and 79, 82 and 80. So I had to take the under.
I like it. Under 83.5. Good job finding that. By the way, I think we might have a team with a losing record win this division. I'm not convinced.
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm not
Quite
convinced.
possible.
83.5. And there's no juice on that? Minus 110 only?
It was minus 110 both ways.
Okay.
Minus 110.
Yeah, I think that's a tall task to ask one of these teams to. I mean, of course, someone theoretically could catch fire, and by fire, I even put that in quotes, right? You don't need to catch that much fire. But I don't think these teams are capable. By the way, the Rangers and the Mariners.
I mean, their lineups aren't good.
Yeah.
It's not like the lineups are great.
Yeah, agree. Let's talk briefly about the WNBA. You bet this sport every day religiously.
Oh, I love it.
What? Okay, explain that. What do you love so much about it from a betting standpoint?
I'll tell you exactly what I love about it. It's the exact opposite of the National Basketball Association, which in regular season is unwatchable. Kelly Bidlin can go to hell. In December 20th, when you have a Raptors-Bucks game, it's not interesting because no one's trying. It's just a bunch of three-point shots and no trying whatsoever. It's ridiculous, okay? I don't want to watch the Sacramento Kings against the Phoenix Suns in a big matchup of Devin Booker and his girlfriend from the Kardashians. It's ridiculous basketball. Now, in college basketball, which is my love, everyone's trying. Everyone's trying hard. And the coaches are going nuts. Everyone's going crazy. And the WNBA, I love because the girls try. It's a prison league. They're rough as hell. Willie our good friend Willie, Mr. 1 and 2 Tennessee Titan better, loves to hate on the fact that Caitlin Clark gets beat up by the girls, but he doesn't watch the games, so he doesn't realize everybody gets beat up. Kelsey Mitchell was getting beat up yesterday. There's a clip going on. She was like pushing the other girl. It's so rough and tumble, and these girls are trying hard, and that's what I love about competition. I can watch the NBA playoffs, because you're going to try. But I can't watch the NBA regular season. It's unwatchable. The WNBA, sure, they're not as good. Sure, they can't dunk. But they try hard. You can tell they want to win. That's what I love about basketball when it's being played competitively with people trying.
Todd Wishnev endorsing the WNBA.
True story. I passed up floor seats last night for WNBA.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. Passed up floor seats, Todd. What is he doing?
Passed up floor seats.
You should have given me the floor seats. I could have given. I would have been heckling everybody's relationship status and Alyssa Smith. Why'd you break up with Dejanay? You cheated on her. Blah blah blah. I'd probably get thrown out.
Give us a WNBA Finals matchup bet.
Chris Felica had a good one. I think he has 16-1 Lynx against the Fever in the finals, which is like a really good one, as long as the Fever can get to the 3 seed. Because if the Fever gets the 4 seed, they're probably going to face the Lynx in the semifinals and not the finals. Now, I don't think this is your typical WNBA season that we always see, which is the Aces turn it on late. I think the Aces don't have enough. Chelsea Gray is a little too old in the tooth. I think she's finally had age, catch up to her. Same thing for the wing guard that they've had, who wasn't that good last year, and their name is escaping me right now. But the 2 guard who used to be really good, Jewel Lloyd, right? So basically, it's just Asia Wilson and Jackie Young, and it's just and Alyssa Smith down low, who you can't really count on. So it's really not enough. And you saw they got beat last night by the Dream, a team that is not exactly what I would call gritty. I like gritty teams like the Minnesota Lynx.
But they try
That's
hard.
the kind of team.
What do you like better, Todd? Grit or
They all
being
try hard.
buttoned
One
up?
second, Matt.
What do you prefer, buttoned up or
What'd you
grit?
say?
What do you like?
I
about
like
them?
a buttoned up UConn, Danny Hurley, gritty type of team.
I see. By the
Doesn't
way,
make mistakes.
By the way, by old in the tooth, he means long in the tooth as well for Chelsea Gray.
Yeah,
let's go
long in the tooth.
real
That's
quick.
it.
90 seconds here, actually less. Clock ticking. Third quarter NFL college football. Remind people what you like about those so much as the seasons approach.
Well, you know, some of these books now they'll put out team totals in the third quarter at halftime. And if you can, now not every book has this, but a couple of them have it. And if, especially in the National Football League, when you get teams that just cannot move the ball at all in the first half, and they're getting the ball second and losing big, for instance, like Rams Saints or something. Rams lead 24-0 at the half or 24-3 at the half, and the Rams are getting the ball first in the third quarter. The Rams are going to go on a slow, methodical 7-minute drive to start the third quarter. By the time the Saints get the ball, and they've already proven in the first half they can't move the ball, and now the team total is like, you know, over under 2.5, you can take it because they're not going to kick a field goal anyways. So the answer is, because they're down 24-0. Are they going to put it in the end zone, or are they not going to put it in the end zone in their one drive of the third quarter? Because by the time they punt, the Rams are going to go on another methodical, you know, plodding drive. So there's real nice opportunities if you can figure out, okay, who's going to get the ball first? Who's going to get the ball second? What are the situations of the game that would lead to certain points being scored or not being scored?
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. By the way, the WNBA taking a 17-day break at the beginning of September. I don't know what Todd's going to do with himself. Todd, thank you.
Well, bet on the World Cup. World Cup women's
bet on the
basketball.
World
They're
Cup
trying
women's
there.
Thank you, Toddy.